Hello and welcome to my math companion. In this video, we will be looking at a problem involving the area and circumference of a circle. Let's begin. The question states that a circle has an area of 4 pi centimeters squared. Find its circumference. So here's our circle, and the circumference is essentially the perimeter of a circle. It is the circular portion of the circle. The length of that circular portion of the circle is the circumference. And we see that the formula for circumference is given as c is equal to 2 pi r, where c is the circumference and r is the radius of the circle. And now we see that we first need to find this radius since it is not given directly in the question. And so the radius is essentially the shortest point from the center of the circle all the way to the edge of the circle. And since there are many possible lines that connect, there are infinitely many possible lines that can connect the center of the circle to the edge of the circle, there are infinitely many radii, all of the same length. And so we need to find this radius. And we see that the area of the circle is given, and we can use that to our advantage to find the radius. So the area is given as a is equal to pi r square, where a is the area and r is the radius. So now we just put this value of area, which is 4 pi, into this formula and solve for r, just like any single variable equation. So inputting this value of a, we get 4 times pi, which is 4 pi, is equal to pi times r square. And in any single variable equation, we must first isolate the variable, which means that we need to bring its coefficient to 1. We see here that the coefficient of r square is pi, and therefore since pi is being multiplied with r square, we can divide by pi on both sides to make the coefficient of r square equal to 1. So dividing by pi on both sides, we get 4 pi divided by pi, and these two pi's cancel out, and we get 4 to be equal to r square. However, we need the value of r and not r square, which means we need to somehow get rid of this 2 right over here. Since the r is being squared and the opposite of squaring is taking the square root, we will take the square root on both sides of the equation, and we will get r is equal to the square root of 4. And the square root of 4 is 2. Now notice that we are only taking the positive value of the square root, as in we are only taking positive 2 as a value of r and not negative 2. And that's because distance can never be negative. So now we need to find our circumference, which is 2 times pi times r. And since we have already found a value of r to be positive 2, we input the value of r into the above equation or formula, and we get the circumference to be 2 pi times 2, and this 2 is the value of r that we have inputted. Now 2 times 2 is 4, so we can write 2 pi times 2 as 4 pi, because in this calculation we are essentially treating pi as a variable. So by doing that, we get 2 pi times 2 is 4 pi, and now we put this into a calculator and we get an approximate value of 12.57 centimeters. Now note that this value is only approximate since pi is an irrational number, and we can never get the exact value of pi. Therefore 4 times pi will not give an exact value as well. Also note that you can directly put 2 pi times 2 in your calculator and you will still get the same answer. This 4 pi was just used for simplification purposes. So that is how you find the circumference of a circle given its area.